Hi guys, Ape here of the PocketBot Collective. And today we have a bit of a double feature within our Beast Wars reviews. Why? Well, that's because they came packaged together in a 2-pack. From Takara this time. Now, what we're looking at are Tasmania Kid and Dirge. And they are from the Beast Wars 2nd continuity. This guy you might also know as Snarl from the IDW comics. This guy wasn't in the Beast Wars lines in the US, so to say, but you might recognize the mold because it's a reuse of one of the Machine Wars planes. But what else did these guys come with? Well, each figure has some weapons, but they're integrated in alt mode, so to say. They also came with 2 collector's cards, just cardboard. But there you have Dirge and Tasmania Kid. These are the backs of the cards. Unfortunately, I cannot read Japanese, so I can't tell you what's exactly on here, but they're pretty cool little cards. Anyways, right, let's get rid of those. They also each came with a set of instructions. Maximal, Predacon, or Cybertron and Destron. One for Tasmania Kid, one for Dirge. Won't go through these right now, but they're quite clear. In case you haven't realized by now, these are basic class figures from the Beast Wars lines. Which means that they are what we nowadays call Legend class or Core class figures. But we'll get into that when we do some size comparisons. Let's have a quick look at the box. It is a little sun-faded. Not due to me, that's how I got it. I was already happy to actually find these guys in box. So yeah, the colors are a little bit faded and the blister has a little bit of yellowing, but the figures didn't suffer from anything. Here is the top of the box. We have Tasmania Kid on one side, Dirge on the other side. Some more of the sets at the bottom, also the waterfall playset. Let me just bring this in a little bit. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus on it. There we go. Here is his inseparable companion Thrust. We've got Starscream and BB. Mega Storm. Apache, who you might know as Baboom. Bighorn, who we know as Bone Crusher, I think. Here, of course, is Snarl, or Tasmania Kid, and Scuba, aka Clawjaw. And these were all, as you can see, versus packs, which is pretty cool. And then, for the back of the box, there we go, a nice overview of some of the toys in that line, or characters at least, and the toys we have here. And there are some collector's points there as well. So there we go. That is it for the box. Now let's get to the figures, shall we? Let's start off with swapping him out for Core Class Rat Trap, just for a size comparison to Snarl. And you can see that Snarl is definitely a bit bulkier than modern day Rat Trap. But in robot mode, they scale pretty well together. It's just that the shell of Snarl from way back when is bigger than what we now have as shells. Let's have a look at him. Here he is. There is articulation in the jaw. Paws are on ball joints, ball joints, ball joints. And these are just molded, but they can rotate back and forth. Not much else to him. The rest is all in robot mode. His tail doubles up as his weapon, but it also gives him a little jumping gimmick, so to say. I don't think he'll jump very far, but if we do it like this and we push the button, he jumps forward. Leaving a little hole there, but there you go. Some jumping action there. But he's a pretty cool looking Tasmanian devil, because that's what he is. Alright. Now let's have a look at Dirge. And Dirge, or the Machine Wars plane molds, fit right in with what we now have as core class jets. But similarly also fits in with the size of the Iron Factory jets. Now the only reason he looks a little bit bigger is because he has some longer landing gear. If we fold that up, he will sit in an angle then, but there we go. Fits right in. I'll give you a little top view as well, just so you can see. There we go. Perfect fit, if you ask me. Now, let's get these planes out of the way and have a look at this guy. Nice foil stickers on the wings with the logos on it. Translucent pink cockpit. You saw the landing gear, and yeah, due to the nature of these figures, there's a lot of robot kibble at the bottom. You can see the arms, you can see the legs. It is what it is. It's still a nice little jet. This top section can move, which comes to which springs to action when we transform him, because he has a bit of an automorph feature, which I guess we'll get into. Well, maybe one more comparison, just these two guys with our boy. Well, this is not our boy, his black counterpart is our boy. But this is Iron Factory's Run Amok for just a vehicle size comparison. Yeah, the plane scales a bit better than the Tasmanian Devil, but there you go. Alright, let's get into transformation, and we'll start off with the jet. And that is it for transformation already. It's a really simple transformation. I do have to admit, I have a little bit of trouble standing him sometimes. When you get him to stand, he's fine. But because of the gimmick, he stands almost like he's leaning forward a little bit. He's not really, but it feels counterintuitive because you want to put the legs straight down. But then he would be standing like this, looking up, which is also not what you want. So it's a little bit counterintuitive to pull the legs forward a little bit so he can stand. Let's get Tasmania Kid out of the way for a second. We will have a look at him as well. I really like that head sculpt. Has light piping in it. He is a bit gappy on the inside, but bear in mind, these toys are roughly 30 years old. And now you can see that this has slid upwards. That's to do with the automorph on the inside. We also have his... There we go. Predacon symbol there. Which still changes color after all this time. Just by warmth. Lots of ball joints on these figures. Arms as well. But that gives them a wide range of motion. And it's funny to think that these old figures had so much articulation already. Weapon storage in his shins. See if we can pop them out. They're quite secure in there. This one's a little bit harder to grip, but there we go. And then the legs become a little bit more hollow, of course, but that is fine. See, same thing again. I have to lean him forward a bit. Counterintuitive. There we go. It's a nice looking little pistol. And the other part just attaches to it. Like this. And then you have a bigger rifle, which he can hold just fine. There we go. And now he's a bit front heavy with that big gun. There we go. That is Dirge in full robot mode. For some size comparisons. Here he is with another Iron Factory Seeker, Acid Storm, and with Hasbro's Core Class Skywarp. And you see that this guy fits right in this size class. You can actually have this guy double up a little bit as the Beast Wars 2nd Starscream, because Starscream kind of has this color palette. But there you go. That's for scale. And before I forget, here he also is with our boy, Iron Factory's Runabout. Now let's bring in Snarl, and let's get him transformed, shall we? And there you go, Snarl transformed, or Tasmania Kid. Pretty cool transformation, ends up with a bit of a backpack due to the well, the shell around him, so to say. But it's pretty cool to transform, pretty easy as well. Keeps his front leg articulation in robot arm mode. And the legs are also ball jointed and hinged here. I have to say, on my copy, the legs are a little bit loose. And I'm not a fan of these feet because however you put them, he's kind of standing on the teeth and that spike, so to say. But he's easier to pose than Dirge, at least. You can also see he has two little holes on his forearms, but he doesn't seem to be able to hold anything. Well, that's where you plug his gun into one of these holes. Which is a bit difficult because that's the spring-loaded mechanism, but come on, buddy. Let me just straighten the arm a bit. There we go. That is how he holds his weapon, which I can't say I'm a real fan of. It works, I guess, but usually when I have him displayed in robot mode, I just get rid of the weapon. There's also, I think, this is also meant as weapon storage, I think. Didn't show that off in robot mode, but you could put his tail down so the spring-loaded gimmick isn't activated all the time. But yeah, there we go. Just put the tailpiece to the side. Let's have a look at that head sculpt. It's a bit difficult to see. He has got a molded nose and mouth in, but because of the black, it doesn't show up that well on camera. But it is there. It's just on a swivel and a little bit of a hinge. So I'm guessing there's a ball joint in there, but it's limited. Forgot to show that off on Dirge, but Dirge's is just a swivel, I think. Because his head is kind of tucked in between his shoulders. But there we go. No waist articulation or anything on these figures. Some of them had, but not this one. But very poseable. And it looks clean from the back, but it's quite a backpack there. It's also because, of course, everything is built around the gimmick. That's why I guess this guy is a bit bigger than he needs to be. And he's got his maximal badge there, which is turned blue right now. I think it only turns darker the more warmth I put on it. But there you go. This is Tasmania Kid in his robot form. Now, let's also do some comparisons for him. Here he is with Hasbro's Core Class Rat Trap. And he stands a bit taller, but it still works in my opinion. And with Iron Factory's Runabout. So yeah, he's a little bit taller than Dirge is. But it still works in this scale, I think. And here they are compared to each other. And I like how Takara did manage to put some vehicles into the Beast Wars lines. Because of course the first Beast Wars series didn't have vehicles. They went on to being Transmetals and Transmetal 2s. And then they had some vehicle features. But there were no actual vehicles in it. Then in Beast Wars 2nd, we got some jets in there. We've got some like the auto rollers were in there, but it was still mainly beasts. I think Beast Wars Neo that came after that didn't really have any vehicles in it, if I remember correctly. And after that, it was the original Transformers RID, Robots in Disguise. And that was, of course, it still had the Maximals in it. It still had some of the Predacons in it. But also the Decepticons came in, which was the name for the recolor of the Combaticon team, forming Ruination or Rudicus. So I like that there were still some vehicles or some vehicles brought back into it. Oh yeah, and of course the Autobots were also in there, because we had the Fire Convoy, didn't we? The Fire Engine one. But I digress. It's all about these guys right now. So yeah, I like them. I don't think they're for everybody, but just know that the vehicles from the Beast Wars second line go really well with modern day Legend class and Core class figures. The Beasts as well, but of course Tasmania Kid is one of the smaller beasts, so you can't stick to like a Megatron in the same size, or even a Primal in that size. You need them to be a bit bigger. So yeah, it depends on how you build up your collection, whether these guys fit or not. For me, they fit, but in the Beast Wars section of my collection, where I also make Dirge interact with my other Legend class figures, the vehicle figures, so to say. So yeah, it's a bit of a crossover series for me within my collection. Right, I think I talked enough about these guys. I really like them. I like that this came as a set. The Versus sets are really cool. And I can't wait to get my Core Class G2 Megatron in, which I'm going to be using as Megastorm from Beast Wars 2nd. Although I am hoping for a little upgrade kit so he can have a shoulder cannon. But that is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Ape out!